after beating Lieutenant Surge, if you try and move on in the game, you will find several roadblocks. If you go east directly, you will reach Snorlax, which blocks your path into Lavender Town, or in this case, Fuchsia as well. And on the other side, if you try and go north of Vermilion or south of Cerulean and go through the toll booth, you will find yourself blocked by thirsty guards in not the so fun way. Now, this makes sense. It's roadblocking the player into going around and exploring an area that basically they probably would never look for on a basic playthrough. Except the requirements for Rock Tunnel are pretty annoying. So, in Generation 1, because this is the main focal point, you go east from Cerulean and you run into a cuttable tree. That's alright, par for the course. You should have cut on lockdown because it's required for Lieutenant Surge. It's not a big problem. There's plenty of trainers on the way to Rock Tunnel, and in fact there's a couple new Pokemon you could find, I think specifically one in Voltorb, so it's not necessarily a waste of time. But right as you get to the Rock Tunnel entrance, you get access to a Pokemon Center. Already kind of a bad thing here. This is a Pokemon Center you can't fly to in the originals, meaning that it's very annoying to get back to Rock Tunnel, and at the same time, it's also kind of just a quality of life that would be improved upon later and shown why it's a good thing to have fly to that location, specifically for Power Plant. But ignoring that, you enter Rock Tunnel and you find that it's too dark. Now, if you've been paying attention to the text boxes like, a abnormal human, because most of us ignore it, you will find that Flash can be found with one of Professor Oak's aides. One of them specifically through Diglett's Cave, which also relies on getting cut. So you have to do it after Lieutenant Surge. Or at least, when you figured out you need Flash. There's a lot of text boxes later that are added in, for example, Fire Red Leaf Green, that kind of fix this issue and be like, yo, Flash is over here. And it's a lot more pointed to, but it's out of the way. And what does Flash do? Well, for this one dungeon, it's useful, and that's basically it. It allows you to light up the cave so you can see where you're going, which I guess is a good thing, except there's really no reason to. As shown by the video in the background right now, you don't need Flash at all, and that's not to say, oh, well, yeah, you don't need Flash because it's just to light up the way and show you like where the trainers are so you can skip them and do stuff, and yeah, that's cool and all, but there's nothing for you to look for with Flash. This is the same palette as Mount Moon, and it's just a different design. There's no new area to fully explore. The wild Pokemon don't become more common, so you can catch, say, Onix and Machop. There's no reason for you to use Flash in any case, and in fact, I find that it's just a waste of time to go and get. It just slows you down, and it makes you have to backtrack through Diglett's Cave twice to, get Flash, and then go all the way back if you didn't get it originally when you were in Vermilion, and then go to Rock Tunnel and use Flash for the ability to find 0 items, because there's 0 items in Generation 1's Rock Tunnel. To find no special, interesting Easter egg, to find nothing of interest. You're gonna fight the trainers you're gonna fight, nothing really new from there, and at the same time it's just a bad dungeon, because one of the things a lot of dungeons like to have or should have is a reward at the end that isn't necessarily an item or a Pokemon. It's an event. For example, Viridian Forest is a great example. It's the earliest dungeon you fight, and it's not even really a dungeon. It's very easy. But as soon as you beat it, you get access to Brock's gym, the first gym, the big kind of milestone of your adventure. You look at something as Mount Moon. You get immediately rewarded with being able to choose to go to Misty's gym, or you could explore around and prove yourself and then do it. Your reward is you can immediately move on and do stuff. This is also copied by several dungeons throughout, that was a good stutter by the way, throughout Pokemon. You look at something as Ilex Forest, immediately you have access to a route which gives you the daycare, and then the third gym. You look at something later, such as, we'll talk about Gen 3 specifically, if you look at all the way around to Jagged Pass, you immediately get access to the 4th gym once you go through it. It's a reward for going through a dungeon that isn't set in stone. Rock Tunnel doesn't have that. There's no big event. Yeah, you could fight your rival and not finish Lavender Tower, which is its own dungeon. So good on you. It leads to another dungeon. And you have to go through multiple routes to even get to the 4th gym. And that's if you want to fight the 4th gym before you go handle the Lavender Tower, because you need the Silph Scope. Unless you're going to go get the water or lemonade or soda pop to give to the guard, to then go and get Pokédoll to then glitch past in the originals, which is already another step. So your reward for Rock Tunnel is another fetch quest, or another, oh, I have to go do this, which is kind of ruining to the dungeon's use. It's not important, it's not fun, and there's nothing worth it in there. And that's why it does get somewhat improved with Fire Red Leaf Green, specifically having the Rock Slide tutor. But in Red and Blue, there's nothing there. There's darkness, useless darkness at that. There's Pokemon, yeah, cool. You can find Machop there, but you can also find Machoke in Victory Road. So it's not exclusive. You can find Onix, which I don't know why you would want Onix. It's a terrible Pokemon. You could find Onix in Victory Road. You can ultimately find everything Rock Tunnel has to offer in other dungeons, in other experiences, in other places in Red and Blue, which is why it is on just my least favorite places in all of Pokemon. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't lead to anything, and it doesn't give you anything, which is one of the worst things you can do in a dungeon that is just boring and long. It's not the longest in the world, but man, it really slows everything down to a crawl.